All right, guys, we are back, and today what we're going to talk about is data deletion. Okay, guys, this is a critical component when it comes to cybersecurity because just depending on your role, you might be commissioned to go out and go ahead and take care of retired hard drives. And they're saying, hey, there's critical information on here. Let's make sure that we go through an appropriate process to go ahead and delete this data. Um, I mean, I kid you not, there was literally an article on my web feed where they said some guy went to what was a Goodwill. They bought, I think it was a camcorder, and that camcorder had data in there of an individual. He goes ahead, he finds that individual, and I don't know if something along the lines of like wedding pictures or I don't know what it was. But long story short, guys, we're talking about cybersecurity, and within the realm of cybersecurity, protecting our data is critical. Remember our CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, availability. If you, as an organization, are bestowed certain pieces of information that can come from clients, your clients in their mind are thinking, hey, this organization should have the wherewithal to go ahead and protect my data. So, with that being said, today what we're going to go ahead and talk about is data deletion. Okay, and let's go on to the next slide here. Mind you, when it comes to data deletion, this is more so, guys, okay, even before we get into the presentation, this is more so doing with what would be um like I mentioned before, decommissioning hard drives. Okay, going ahead and deleting data that is on hard drives that you will no longer use. I do have. I'll give you guys the question now because, like I said, I've been taking some of the practice exams. I haven't gotten the Comptia Security Plus yet. I am on the path to completing that. However, one of those questions that I've seen really that was really common was your organization is retiring 50 computers. There's 50 hard drives. The CEO wants to go ahead and donate those hard drives to the Boys and Girls Club of America. What process should you take in order to go ahead and assure that there isn't any critical information on those hard drives? So think about that question while we go ahead and go through this presentation. There is technically four techniques, guys, and what they call it is sanitation. So there's four techniques, okay, in order for you to go ahead and delete the data on the drive. Remember, you have your SSD, which stands for solid state drive, and you have your HDD, which stands for hard disk drive. Okay, that's something that you guys should definitely know. If you don't, now you do. So remember, we're going ahead and we're talking about four techniques for sanitation on the hard drive. First one, overwriting the data. Second one, degaussing the data. Third one, secure erase. Fourth one, cryptographic erase. And as you guys can see here, I have some notes, and we're going to get deeper into this with regards to what exactly each one of those does. But this right here would be a really good slide to remember out of all of them because it just puts everything in. Big picture. So let's go on to the next one. So remember, this is one of the first techniques, overriding data. Okay. And notice here in parentheses, I have potential recover. What that means is that if you go ahead and do a single pass, right, if you're not doing your due diligence and you're being lazy, or the software that you're using is simply overriding the data and you do a quick little single pass, potential there's a possibility that that data can technically still be restored. And obviously, the way this works with overwriting data is the more passes that you go and you put that hard drive or that solid state drive through, the harder it is to go ahead and recover the data. But I just want you to keep in mind that we have to keep the principle of time. in effect as well. If 35 passes is going to take you a lot of time, that's probably something you wouldn't want to do with the cost benefit analysis as something as, hey, I can do 7 passes or potentially another technique. So just remember, overwriting data, at the end of the day, data is going to be a bunch of zeros and ones, and you're basically just overwriting that. Just keep in mind, with overwriting data, there is that possibility to potentially recover. Which reminds me, when I initially asked that question, your CEO is asking you to go ahead and donate those 50 drives to a community organization so they can have computer equipment. Would this be a viable option? Okay, let's go on to the next one. Degaussing. Okay, so this here is permanent destruction. I found this cool little picture here on Google. And you guys can see there's a lot of drives here. And this here, ladies and gentlemen, is like I said, permanent destruction. You produce a strong magnetic field that can disrupt the magnetic domains on storage devices, hard drives, or tapes. So this here is a pretty little penny piece of equipment where you would basically submit the drive, and it's going to go ahead and literally destroy the magnetic field, so it's not necessarily working as it should be. So permanent destruction. Going back to our question, would this be a viable option for our CEO? Okay, and let's go on to the next one, which brings us to word of the day. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be our new feature for our what would be our YouTube channel. Every video that we go ahead and put out henceforth, we want to go ahead and start implementing a word of the day so we can start building our vocabulary when it comes to the cybersecurity field. So, word of the day, what is it today? Enumeration. Can you spell it? Enumeration. Enumeration. Can you define it? Involves identifying and counting assets, especially in large organizations or during times of asset procurement or retirement. Can you use it in a sentence? My CEO is asking for the enumeration report with regards to the procurement of our new 50 computers that we're adding to our office. Okay, enumeration, guys. And honestly, this sounds fancier than what it looks like. Basically, when I look at enumeration, when I'd like to go ahead and define it in my own terms, it's basically just going ahead and doing inventory. Enumeration is just a fancy word of doing of saying inventory. Hey, let's do an inventory. Asset procurement. Procurement means that you're basically bringing new equipment into the equation. Retirement obviously means that you're taking equipment out of the equation. And remember, we also have our asset management. We want to know, that's a different topic, but nonetheless, enumeration, just think about it in terms of inventory. So let's continue here with our slide. Remember, we had 4 techniques. This technique here is called secure erase. And what this does, it basically completely deletes the data. Okay, completely deletes data from a storage device while ensuring that it cannot be recovered using traditional recovery tools. Okay, I should have put this here on the slide because there is another technique, but this here. Let's actually compare it to the next one, which it would actually be cryptographic erase. Keys are deleted faster than secure erase. So, what's the difference between 3 and 4? Okay, 3 is in an ideal world, this would basically completely delete all the data. However, it's going to take some time. It's going to be a slower process to go ahead and actually delete all the data. Okay, because from what I understand, is you're actually going ahead and you're literally deleting the ones and zeros, so to speak. Now, with cryptographic erase, instead of deleting the data per se, what you're doing here is you're deleting the keys. Okay, remember, when you have a key, you have asymmetric and you have symmetric. When you delete the keys, if you don't have your key, then technically the hard drive is just going to go ahead and show gibberish, so to speak. You wouldn't be able to go ahead and distinguish what exactly the data is saying because you don't have the key, right? I guess a silly analogy would be sort of more so like going ahead, and if you don't have the key to the door, you can't really open the door and find out what's behind the room, or behind the door in the room. So a cryptographic erase is a faster process. Like I mentioned, you're deleting the keys, and it's a lot faster than secure erase. Both of these methods, 3 and 4, they should technically go ahead and delete the data. Uh, so, which brings me back to what I initially asked. Hey guys, you guys have 4 options. Remember when I asked, you guys have 4 options: one, two, 3, and 4. If your CEO is asking you that he wants to go ahead and donate those 50 hard drives to a community organization, which one of these sanitation techniques would you use? Okay, so obviously one would not be a good one because one, it gives the opportunity to whichever organization, if somebody gets their hands on it, they could potentially recover that hard drive. Two, wouldn't be a good option because you would technically go ahead and you would permanently destroy the hard drive, henceforth rendering it useless, which would not necessarily be a good thing for those who you are supposedly donating them to. 3 and 4, this is where things get tricky, and this is where a lot of the exam is. It's going ahead and picking the better answer. Okay, so you have secure erase and cryptographic erase. So one, they're both technically supposed to completely delete the data, but one of them is a little faster, right? So if I was in the situation, what I would choose is I would go with the cryptographic erase because that would basically go ahead and delete the keys, and it's a lot faster than going ahead and doing the secure erase. However, on the flip side, if mind you, with cryptographic erase, that was for modern devices. If there was no key to be deleted or so on and so forth, or if they wanted to go ahead and do I mean, if you had nuclear codes inside the hard drive and you absolutely needed to go ahead and destroy it, I don't know why you would want to donate those hard drives. But if secure erase was slower, okay, was slower, but uh exponentially more secure, then we would go with the secure erase. But just looking at it, I would go with the cryptographic erase. Let's go ahead and let's do this right here: destruction versus shredding. Okay, they might ask you, hey, um, what's the difference? I think that's too easy of a question they're going to ask. But nonetheless, this is something you should have in the back of your head. What's the difference between destruction versus shredding? Okay, so at the end of the day, destruction and shredding basically is going to go ahead and um, it, it's bad for the equipment, so to speak, because you are destroying it. But destruction ensures that the physical device itself is beyond recovery or reuse. So that's basically like taking a hard drive and smashing it with a hammer a million times till it's nice and flat, like a pancake. That would be destruction. Or maybe even shredding. What is shredding? Shredding is pulverizing, melting, and incinerating. So once you go ahead and you smash that hard drive into a flat pancake, maybe you can go ahead and throw it inside the furnace or whatnot, and then it would completely melt. Okay, so just keep that in mind. There is a slight distinction between destruction and shredding, so on and so forth. So let's actually go ahead, guys. I have this link here, and we will actually, I don't know if I can click on it. No, it's on presentation. So let's actually go ahead, and I do have it. That link is actually going to link to this here. And this right here, guys, as you guys know, not only am I a big believer in the theory, but I'm also a big believer in actually getting your hands dirty, so to speak, practicing the theory. This right here, the 34 best free data destruction tools of 2024. This was actually written rather recently, which is nice to see, January 4th, 2024. And right here, guys, let's get away from trending videos. And right here, guys, as you guys can see, there's a couple tools. They're supposed to have 34. But now that you guys have that information that I just went ahead and presented, now you can actually start to go ahead and distinguish what's the difference between this software and this software. Let's see here if we can find a quick little difference. And some of these, I was going through this before earlier, and some of these guys you would need to download and put it in a disk. Some of these you can go ahead and actually run as an application on your laptop. It just all depends on what exactly you're doing, so on and so forth. Let's see here. Just going through this. Oh, here we go. Look, we just talked about this secure erase. Okay, so this right here is telling us the data sanitation methods. So this right here, this MHDD is using a sanitation. Excuse me, the sanitation method would be considered secure erase. You already know what secure erase is. Secure erase would basically means that you're permanently going ahead and deleting the data. Let's go ahead and let's continue forward. So this one right here, data sanitation method, write 0. Hey, you just learned about that. That's basically overwriting. You're going to overwrite ones and zeros. Maybe if I use this software, if I use this software compared to using the MHDD, if I use the format command with write 0 option, that can actually go ahead. I think this is within Windows tool. I think we can go ahead and recover the data. That's probably something I don't want to do if I'm really concerned about individuals getting back to my data. Getting my data. So this here, this one actually, data sanitation method, DOD. I think that's more like a standard or something, or maybe some literature. But random data, write 0. Okay, so this is writing 0. Secure eraser. What is this? Let's see here. Data sanitation method, random data. Ooh, we got to go ahead and look this up. But as you guys can see, now you guys are getting a better picture. Getting a better picture of what exactly all this means, so on and so forth. And yeah, so that was our presentation on what would be data destruction. And remember, the word of the day was enumeration. So that does it for us, guys. We will see you guys on the next one.